Good morning, everybody. It's 7 October 2021, and this is my 2022 Indian FTRS. I've had the bike now for a little over 3 months. I got it one July, just a little over 3 months ago, and about to take it into Indian for its 2,500 mile check. A lot of folks I know probably do their own 2,500 or whatever, or do their own service on their bikes, but I don't. I'm not a wrencher on, especially if I buy a new bike like this. So it's not too bad. So I'm going to have Indian, the experts on their own product, do the recommended 2,500 mile service check. It's actually not a full service. They go through and check my chain, check the tension, check all the bolts and fittings out for the bike. So I did mention the other day when I was filming my Buell that I would talk a little bit more about my Indian. So far, I am extremely happy with this purchase, and no major complaints. I did have a couple of things, so like anything, nothing is perfect. During the first week of ownership of this bike, being the first modern bike that I've ever owned, I was going to go on a ride on a Sunday with the Indian Rider Group in Albuquerque, and I had ridden the bike the Friday before and didn't think about hooking it up to a tender or anything, being a brand new bike. I'd never had to do anything like that with any of my other bikes, and I'll explain a little bit more about this in a little bit. Is that I went and start the bike up around 5 o'clock in the morning, and this was around July 8th, and the bike would not start. It was dead. So I said, oh crap. Well, I guess Indian product isn't going to be a good product. That's the first thought that entered my mind. So I wrote Indian. They were closed on Sunday, but they did respond back and told me to bring the bike in the following Tuesday when they opened up for business. I brought it in. I hooked it up to a tender that day, and I brought it in. They checked it. The battery is fine. They told me nothing was wrong with the bike. And of course, I had that little itch in the back of my mind. But then, the more I researched, and I'm looking at a lot of stuff on YouTube, reading online, talking to the dealership, and having never owned a bike like this, I think what explains the battery issue that I had, and I haven't had any battery issues since, is that this bike is got a computer that is running 24/7. So everything on that TFT and that manages this bike is always running. So it's like it's taking a little bit of juice out of the bike. There's a little bit of juice coming out of all of these bikes, including those old Harley-Davidsons, but not enough to where the bike will be dead in 48 or 72 hours. So the explanation to me makes a lot of sense. Is this TFT, which none of my other bikes have, and the computer in this bike that manages the system of the bike is constantly drawing power out of that battery. So batteries on my normal on my other older motorcycles the batteries are getting drained. It doesn't matter that they don't have anything that's using up juice while they're parked. The battery's still losing power, but not enough to where the bike's not going to start up even a couple, 3-4 weeks later. So this one is different in all that stuff that I just talked about. So I've just been hooking it up to a tender every day, just like I do with my bikes normally, but normally I don't worry about it if I forget to put the tender on. And this one I do put the tender on after I ride it each day, and I haven't had any issues at all with that. Second issue I had with this bike was about 4 weeks into owning it. I had about 1,500 miles. I think I was at about 1,520 miles or so on the bike. I was on my way to Albuquerque on Interstate 25, about 20 miles outside of Santa Fe, south of Santa Fe. The rear tire, and there's a video on my channel showing it, blew out my Metzler. So it was a Sunday again. Indian was closed, but they did answer back on my text. And I had to have the bike towed to Albuquerque that Sunday because I couldn't ride it. And so I couldn't see any puncture on the tire. All I could see was that my tire was separated. Big chunks of the tire were separated along this side, along the left side. You could see all the way down to the very last part of the tire before you're on the rim. So the bike got into Indian that Tuesday, and I told him that I was concerned that the Messler had a defect, and that if they determined that there was a puncture, they were going to charge me for the tire. So that following Wednesday or Thursday, when I went back to Indian, they said it was most likely a puncture, and I looked at the tire. I couldn't see any puncture on the tire. So I told him, unless you can tell me 100% that the tire has been punctured and it's not a factory defect on the Messlers, then I am going to replace both tires of the bike with a tire that I trust, which is a Michelin. So they couldn't tell me with 100% certainty that the tire had been punctured, and that's what caused my tire blowout and the separation of the rubber from the inner part of the tire. So them telling me that, and the fact that I was going to have to pay for a rear tire, I told them, okay, if you can't tell me 100%, then I'm going to replace them with tires I trust, which is Michelin, having never owned any Messler tires. So what I got was the Michelin. I think these are Power. I'm not sure exactly. Michelin Power Plus or something like that. I think they're Michelin Power Plus 5s. They're not the Michelin Power Cup 2s that I have on my Buell. So they cost the same, but the rubber on this one it's real soft from about right here to right here, so it's sticky. And the top of this tire, which I use this bike as a daily rider, is a harder rubber compound, so it'll wear better on the top. And the Michelin Power Cup 2s that I have on my Buell, they're stickier and softer all the way around, so they'll wear out a whole lot faster in the middle, and these ones won't. So it's a good compromise between a daily rider road tire, and when I want to hit the mountain roads, it's sticky enough on the sidewall or on the side of the tire. So that's the only two things, was the battery and those tires. And so I've got, I guess, now 1,000 miles on these Michelins. And I haven't really been riding the bike super hard. And the other thing that I have to get used to is putting this on the jack stand. I need to buy another one. Because it having a chain and not a belt, which all my other bikes have belts, is the chain requires maintenance. So, inspecting the chain and oiling it periodically, and I haven't messed with the tension yet. They're going to do that today. And I need to get it's not very expensive. Somebody sent me a link to check the tension of the chain to know when I have to adjust it. So I've never had to do that before with a motorcycle, so with this one, it does require that. You have to do chain maintenance on your bike. Other than that, I am extremely happy with this bike. No second thoughts other than at the beginning when the battery died. But other than that, I got the bike with the heated grips. I bought the since I was going to use it as a daily rider, the windscreen. So like Harley-Davidson, Indian has a tax. So you get the windscreen, you also have to get the mounts, which is separate. So you buy the windscreen separate, then you have to pay extra for the mounts. Got the heated grips, got the luggage rack. I haven't bought the tour pack that Indian sells for this, and I may still get one. I just use this camelback / backpack, and it straps in pretty good, and I can carry most everything I need. I don't really like the way a tank bag looks, so I don't think I'll ever get one of those. And the other thing that I see always online is This does take a while, that to come up. So wait for the fuel pump to turn off for it charging. You know, on my old bikes, you crank it to get the fuel going and then do the choke. My bikes are carbureted. On my Buell, I don't do that. But so you saw it took a few seconds there for that to come up. And then it's a cold morning. It's about 40 degrees here in northern New Mexico. I have not had any issues with a cold start with the bike. So with that, I'm headed about 90 miles from where I live, because that's where the closest Indian dealership is. The only Indian dealership in the state of New Mexico, in Albuquerque. And have them do the 2,500 mile service check on it. And they said it's about a 30-minute check, but you know, you get charged for an hour of labor. So that's all I'm paying for, unless there's something that they have to do with the bike, which is very doubtful. I did have a complaint when I first got the bike about the seat, but actually after riding it a while and the seat kind of breaking into me, the seat has actually turned out to be pretty decent, and I've ridden the bike all day several times and I don't have any problems with the seat. I get decent fuel mileage on the bike because I'm not on the throttle at 3/4, half throttle, or full throttle all the time. So I get very good mileage on the fuel. So I have normally 150 or 160 mile range, but I don't know if guys can ride for 2 or 3 hours straight without getting off a damn bike. I don't know how they do it. But I've been riding for over 20 years and I got to take a break about every hour, hour and a half. So the fuel stops, even if I was only getting 100, 120 miles on the bike, I'm ready for a fuel stop at about 100 miles just to take a break. So I don't have any issues with the fuel. And when my wife and I have toured, the longest we've ever seen where we've had to ride without a gas station is 100 miles between gas stations, and that was riding through the state of Nevada coming south from Idaho. Other than that, there's enough gas stations in this country to fill up, unless you're trying to go off-road on this bike and go overlanding. Then you're going to have an issue. Then you better take a spare fuel with you. But even taking a 5-gallon tank bike, you're going to want to have spare fuel if you're doing that kind of crap. So anyway, I am extremely happy with this Indian. I'm not going to film my ride down to Albuquerque. It's just straight highway miles. You know, 4-lane freeway from here to Santa Fe, then through Santa Fe, and then just the interstate from Santa Fe all the way down to the dealership on the northern edge of Albuquerque. So with that, I may do a little filming in Albuquerque Indian. For now, happy with my Indian, 2,500 mile check. And that was my update for those that had looked at my video with the tire blowout. I think I had a couple of questions about how the bike went after that blowout and what I did, and there you go. I ended up buying Michelin Power Plus 5 tires, and I'm happy with them 1,000 miles later. I was happy with them on my Buell, so I trust them. The Metzlers might be an outstanding tire, but when they couldn't tell me 100% that the Metzler got punctured and that's what blew out my tire on the interstate, I lost confidence in the tire brand, and I went with a tire that I have experience with and that I trust, and that's Michelin's. And I'll continue using Michelin's until they prove that they're a bad tire company for my motorcycles. And with that, hope everybody's having a great fall here in the country. And for those of you, if there's anybody watching, you just got done watching, actually I started watching $1 Million Bogan riding the Pan America, so I didn't finish that up so I can get down to Albuquerque. So I want to see how trashed he gets the Pan America that he was riding a few days ago. Love that guy's channel, $1 Million Bogan. He's the best thing to happen to Harley-Davidson, and I understand that garbage Harley did with the dealership that he goes a couple of years ago, or a year and a half ago, when Harley went apeshit over something that he said in the dealership. Because if anybody's done anything good for and brought customers to Harley-Davidson, it's $1 Million Bogan, because he does some crazy stuff on his Harley-Davidsons. I love that guy's channel. And there's a lot of other people I follow on YouTube. But $1 Million Bogan, I love that guy. I hope someday I get to meet him in person. And with that, Espinoza out. Hello, Espinoza here. Just got back from Indian of Albuquerque. It's always a full day when we got to go down there since it's so far away. About 90 miles or so. Anyway, so we got the 2,500 mile check on the bike, and everything is good to go. And it was a whopping $64 with tax, so not bad. So they went through all the checks, and the bike is good to go. One thing I forgot to mention this morning that I had gotten as add-ons for the bike that have not come in yet, and I ordered it. Keep in mind, I built this bike last January, and I ordered it with a deposit in March of this year, was the Rizona mirrors. These ones I don't think are too bad, but the Rizona mirrors look better. And still waiting on those. Those have not come in yet. But anyway, so it was all boring interstate miles on the way there and on the way back on I-25. And then we got a four-lane freeway between here and Santa Fe. So never a fun ride on that. Normally when I go to Albuquerque, I do the back road. We call it the Turquoise Trail, Highway 14. Anyway, that's about it. So no drama, no issues with the Indian at 2,500 miles. My next service is in another 2,500. Well, now 2,400 will be the 5,000 mile, and that will cost me a chunk of change. I think it's like about 340 some odd dollars. But that's to be expected. That's what these other bikes cost me when I do the major service on them. And with that, there's my FTR Indian FTRS, the 2022 model, and I believe that there are no changes coming for this next year in 2022. So why they called it a 2022 and not a 2021, I have no idea, but in all reality it's a 2021, but it's called the 2022 FTRS. And with that, happy camper here with Indian Motorcycle Company, Indian Motorcycle of Albuquerque. All the way from northern New Mexico, USA. Espinoza out.